What's going on, everybody? We are here today to talk about the spring practice, spring game, any recruiting that's going on. And we have the distinct pleasure of a wonderful guest that we're going to jump in on right now. But let's hit the intro first. Have you seen? Well, let me go back to this. Darian Mensah. Saw him at Duke. Saw him at Tulane. I saw him at Tulane. I, mean, I don't know if you saw how many times you saw him play at Tulane, but we saw Duke for sure. Is he everything that we believe he is or can be? Because every podcast, I saw a few podcasts yesterday, and I mean, even the ones that typically hate Miami are glazing Darian Mensah and are on the Darian Mensah train. I had one that said he is the best passer in college football. I had one that that they are better. They're even better than we thought they were. What are your thoughts of Darian Mensah and how he performed, and what do you think of him?
Yeah, one more thing on Malachi. I was just thinking
Okay,
about
go
as I
ahead.
said, Rudy. I think he's faster. I think he's better. And I think that's crazy in a sense because he
Wow.
was so good last year. But I do. I think you're going to see that. Just watching him in practices. So I think there's a level up that he's already taken. And I've talked to some players about that, and they said, yeah, I mean, they feel it too. So with Darian Mensah, it's interesting because look, this is what we're going to do. We did it last year with Carson Beck. How does he compare to Cam? And now Darian. How does he compare to Carson? How does he compare to Cam Ward? It's just the discussion that he's in. I think one of the things that stands out to me gets the ball out quick. Uh, he's not. Just like in comparison, he's not the size that Carson is or was for UM. But he's got good size. He throws it. He threw the ball well downfield. I thought at the spring game there. He gets it out. I think that the thing is they're going to try to get it out fast. And I think what's going to be interesting with Darian, and the skills are there. He passes those kinds of tests. He can throw it. He looks to be able to throw. Quick game. He can get it out to the receivers. Could go deep. The intermediate stuff. Everything kind of checks out in that sense from what he did at Duke. I think one of the things that is something to watch for with Darren is just this. Essentially, it's a step up in program and expectations. Now, he's going to have to deliver in those moments. That'll be the big thing, and we're not going to know that. Nobody's going to know that. You can predict it. You can, because he has a skill set. You like what you see, but you're not going to know until he's in those moments how he handles that kind of pressure. And look, he deserves a lot of credit for last year for Duke, winning the ACC, going through it, and then winning the ACC title game. But there is major expectations for him for this program. The spotlight is completely on him. This isn't Tulane and this isn't Duke. So I think how he handles that, how he embraces the leadership of when it's going to be his team, because it's always the quarterback. Eventually it is your team. There's other guys that have been here, but eventually you kind of has to shape it to you. And some of those things that maybe we'll find out more answers over the summer workouts, those kinds of things. But yeah, he does check the boxes of how he throws it. I think the other thing, in addition to adjusting to all this, essentially the pressure, the expectations, is how this offensive line is going to do. Look, a lot of new faces. And I think anybody, even the people that are really encouraged by what they see with the offensive line, I don't think there's anybody here that's going to say they're going to be better this year than last year. I think it's just naturally, just with what they had last year. I think it's a step back. Now, what level of step back? I think that's what we'll wait and see. But I think Darian, how he meshes, how the offensive line plays, will be a big factor in this too. So they like the pieces they have, but again, it's just taking a step back. And again, that might be something as the season goes on, they've got to get better. And certainly when you look at the beginning of the season with Darian, with the O-line, these other question marks that this team has, they have an opportunity to really answer it based on the competition. I think that's a positive thing for this team.
So, would you say that? I mean, I think it's probably obvious asking the question, but how much does Cooper Barkate help Darian Mensah in his adjustment and his starting here at Miami and feeling comfortable? Because throws the ball to Cooper Barkate, you can see that even in the spring game, and he made some nice throws from the videos that I've seen. what would you say about Cooper Barkate and how he performed in the spring as well?
Yeah, Cooper's going to help Darian because he's a good player. Like I know the connection is going to be because of Duke, but no, he's a good player. He's going to help any quarterback. I mean, that's just the reality of what Cooper brings to the table, and you get to see that on a daily. You know, being out there at practices. He touched on the spring game. He goes 4 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown. You know, he does a good job in traffic. I mean, he's got. I've just really been impressed by watching his footwork off the line of scrimmage. It's fun to watch the acceleration. And then you kind of see it, you know, on his breaks, whether he's cutting on the either top of the route or just any of the breaks. So he does a good job there, planting his foot, kind of getting separation from the defender. And then he does a good job after the catch. So he's just in addition to having good hands, but I really like his footwork. And yeah, he's going to help Darian. I think he's going to help Darian with the other stuff in terms of knowing somebody, maybe handling these expectations, you know, handling everything. But yeah, he's a reliable target, and that I think that helps. But yeah, Cooper's going to help any receiver or any quarterback because he's a good player and he's someone that's been around and can be productive. But that's definitely going to help. And I think same way with the other receivers, you know, even though they haven't had that connection on field with Darian, you know, previously, look, if they're good players, they're going to help. You know, I haven't posted this clip, but I thought Van Travis Jacobs made a really nice play where he almost dropped it. It was a one-handed catch in traffic, a little kind of a short pass, but, you know, plays like that's going to help the quarterback. But yeah, certainly Cooper, the connection that they had, over 1,000 yards. They're both California kids, you know, so they definitely have that connection as well, which helps, you know, and they both have said, you know, essentially they're each other's best friends. So that's definitely positive for those guys.